Hi guys, it's me George, and this evening I wanted to do a book review. There's going to be a lot more book reviews, by the way, in the future because this time of year I love nothing better than to cozy up after a hot shower with my Oodie on, with my hot drink, my candles, my wax melts on, and my Kindle in bed. Honestly, who the fuck have I even become? I love it though. I love reading, and this time of year I always call it my hibernation time. And yeah, I'm really enjoying being able to read loads of books I've wanted to read, but minus the problem of storage in a one bedroom flat. So yeah, it's brilliant. I'm living for my Kindle. I'm not being endorsed by Kindle, by the way, before anyone begins. But I thought I would never enjoy it, but I'm loving it. And I think it's given me a chance to do more videos on book reviews, which is always a good thing, right? So the book that I'm going to review today is Opuscula Magica, Volume 2, written by Andrew D. Chumbley and edited by Daniel Sholke. And these are essentially short essays or essays on sabbatic witchcraft and the cult of Sabbati. And it's really funny. Before I say this, I need to make this crystal clear that I have a lot of respect for Andrew Chumley's work, and I actually think that Andrew Chumley was a genius. I think that there's a lot of things that Andrew Chumley has written about that are incredible. I think he was an amazing scholar, and I think he was an incredible witch, from what I can read. However, with him, there is admiration and interest there, but frustration. Because I think that sometimes, and this isn't just limited to Andrew, in a lot of the time with traditional witchcraft, we can have authors that will write very poetically, quite mytho-poetically, and will use elaborate words. And sometimes the language can get really flowery, to the point where you can be reading something and be like, "Buh," like that Miley Cyrus video, where she's like, "What does it mean?" Like literally, I'm like, "What does it mean?" And there can also be that. I often find with Andrew's work, when I get it, I really get it, and I really enjoy the work. Like Grimoire of the Golden Toad, chef's kiss. It's an incredible body of work. I think that is just incredible. So yeah, it's definitely out of respect, but there is that frustration of that language use. In fact, there are some books, not written by Andrew, but other authors that have been released that I've just given up reading because I just don't understand them and I just don't get them. And I don't think I'm on my own with that. I think there's actually quite a large amount of people that feel the same way. But concerning Andrew's work, and actually the reason why I think a lot of crafters speak poetically is that I think sometimes it's trying to explain the ineffable, right? How can you explain rituals and situations and experiences that have fundamentally shook you to your core, that have changed you in some way, that have impacted you? How can you even begin to explain that to someone? Even to another witch, if they've not gone through that experience, how can you even begin to explain that? And so I think that's where, poetically speaking, these words come in, these elaborate words, and sometimes it can get very flowery and very overwhelming. And I find that sometimes I can be reading and there are certain things written that I just can't absorb because I'm too busy going back, actually being like, what does that one sentence mean? And so there were some essays in here that I found very difficult. Although what tends to happen with me, with Andrew's work, is I tend to go back and reread it, and I'm like, ah. So when I get things, I really get them. And when I get them, they're gold. And I think that's why I keep going back to the work. So yeah, there's that. There is definitely that to it. And there were a couple of essays that I really enjoyed. There were essays about the kind of sabbatic craft in general. I really enjoyed the one concerning Petoy Voodoo. And I found it really interesting because I am originally from a Haitian voodoo background. It's not my path anymore. I was in associate for 5 years. And so I always find the kind of influence of that within witchcraft interesting. It's not something that I would necessarily personally do, especially Petois voodoo, the Petois Nation of Loire, but it's just interesting to me how somebody would incorporate that within their practice and their craft. And so I found that really interesting. There is a lot of mentions of Austin Osman Spare, who was an artist and an occultist, who produced some really interesting work. There's a lot of kind of influences there. And there was one essay that was concerning the... I don't know the actual subtitle of it. It's effectively the craft, the witch, and the artist, or the artist and magic. And I was really, really interested to read that because I'm a dancer. And so, you know, my dance really means a lot to me. And my craft really means a lot to me. So I was like, ooh. But again, I couldn't... It was a Miley Cyrus moment, you know, but I will go back and read it. And I know when I go back and read it, some things will click and I'll be like, ah. So yeah, there is that. There were a couple of really beautiful things said within this book though. I really love the invocation, which is seen actually in Nigel Jackson's old books, Call of the Horned Piper. I think it was Call of the Horned Piper or Masks of Misrule. But it's the invocation of, here's to the horse with the 4 white feet, with a chestnut tail and mane, a spot on his breast, a star on his brow, and his master's name is Cain. And in this, Andrew Chumbley explains what each part means, which when he explained it, wow, very, very cool. Very, very interesting. Very, very cool. Loved it. And I also, there was just one quote which I absolutely adored. Like a trusting child, hurl yourself into the arms of mystery. She is your mother. So yeah, like a trusting child, hurl yourself into the arms of mystery. She is your mother. I really, really love that. Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. So there are moments that I find with Andrew's work. It's why I keep going back, because I pick up little gems and little pearls that I'm like, ooh. I would say it's a quick read, but it's also a slow read, especially the way he writes isn't for a beginner at all. I wouldn't say it was for a beginner at all. And some bits I got, but some bits I didn't. But again, I know I'll go back. I'm currently reading the Dragon Book of Essex as well, so yeah. Maybe I could do a review on that if anyone's interested. Who knows? Let me know. That'd be cool. But it's just a short review because it's not like a big book. But yeah, it's something I kind of wanted to do a wee review on. And I would say if anybody is interested in like sabbatic craft or that kind of branch of traditional witchcraft, or just interested in terms of seeing how other witches work, like myself, have a look at it. You know, if you're an experienced witch and you've got a good knowledge of words, because I will say that I think that if you have a good dictionary, a good personal dictionary, I think that definitely does help with this work. But yeah, I would recommend it, but I don't think it's a thing. It's not like, it's the strangest thing. It's almost like a book, but it's like a puzzle sometimes. That's how I find, yeah, that is actually the best way to describe Andrew's work for me. It's like a book, but it's a puzzle. And it's a book and a puzzle that sometimes I will get and sometimes I won't get. And then I come back to revisit and I'm like, that's where the pieces fit in. So yeah, I really hope this makes sense because I've never really done any book reviews on Andrew D. Chumbley's work at all. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and peace. Over and out.